am moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
And welcome to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. Yes, viewers, it's Monday, and that's Monday the 3rd of July 2023. We are heading straight on in. This is the 7th month of the year. Some would say, oh, how time flies. Certainly, it's been quite an active period here in Tobago over the course of the weekend, and in fact, Trinidad and Tobago. But we take you over to some of the highlights in our news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Julian. I am Candace Jackson, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Monday, 3rd July 2023, brought to you by Coconut Cafe. The media launch of the 2023 Tobago Heritage Festival was held on Saturday at the Anne Mitchell Gift Auditorium of the Scarborough Library. The theme for this year's festival is Homage, All Are We and All Are We Who Are We Be. The festival promises to be dynamic, with 11 days of action-packed events from the 21st of July to August 1st. Additionally, at the launch, 7 contestants for the Miss Tobago Heritage Personality were introduced. Moving on, a group of police officers from the White Collar Crime Unit, Anti-Corruption Bureau, and Fraud Squad traveled from Trinidad to Tobago to conduct a series of interviews with officials of the Tobago House of Assembly. This was in relation to a topical audio recording featuring 2 senior members of the THA colluding to hire party propagandists within the THA workforce. However, Chief Secretary Farley Augustine claims that it was merely a strategic plan and to date has not been implemented. Additionally, in a media release, the Office of the Chief Secretary refutes all claims that members of the Executive Council were under questioning by the police. And finally, last Friday evening, Janessa Murray went missing while at her father's home in Erin. He accounted that he was taking a bath, and upon return, she had disappeared. It appears that she might have slipped into the river nearby. After the tireless efforts from the Hunter's Search and Rescue team, she was found on Saturday near the mouth of the Carapal River. After receiving medical treatment from the Superior Health Facility, Janessa is now in the care of a mother who extends her gratitude to all parties involved in the search. And that was in News in 90 Seconds, brought to you by Coconut Cafe.
Coconut Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes for breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
This is your birthday shoutouts on Tobago Updates, sponsored by KFC.
right, this morning we get started with Marie Noel, and she celebrates 80. Indeed, a grand milestone. And this is coming from your son Jason and Noel, sending you a happy birthday and God's continued blessings. Indeed, I pray that I am able to live to that kind of age and to be active and enjoying it. All right, certainly this morning on screen we have Karen Smith. Want to wish you a happy birthday and God's continued blessings coming from the entire Tobago Updates family. Belated birthday greetings are going out to Keisha Elder Richards and Carla Elder Brotherson. Want to wish you a happy birthday. That's Keisha and Carla. We trust that you enjoyed your birthday celebrations. On screen, Sean Ned wishing you a happy birthday coming from the entire Tobago Updates family. Sean Ned. My friend and classmate out there, Renee Devines, wishing you a happy belated birthday, Renee. We trust that you will continue to enjoy those celebrations. And on screen, a very special gentleman here wishing him a grand birthday celebration. In fact, it was a weekend of celebrations, and this comes out from the entire family. Laverne, Vernris, all your grandchildren, the entire family wishing you a happy birthday and God's continued blessings, and that you continue to grow from strength to strength. Let the celebrations continue.
Birthday shoutouts on Tobago Updates, sponsored by KFC.
From the experts that created the Zinger sandwich comes the KFC Crispy Barbecue Zinger.
The only one I see is you.
Cheddar cheese, crispy onions, the most delicious Kentucky Fried Chicken, and barbecue sauce. Get ready for a whole new level of flavor.
Yes, viewers, and at this point we head straight on into Tobago in Focus.
Good health starts with good nutrition. The Division of Education, Research and Technology understands this, knowing that the future of Tobago lies with the nutrition of our children. The school nutrition policy is being developed for this purpose.
We must understand that the child is a whole being. What the child consumes matters. We do have a lot of wastage with particular meals as well, so we want to bring everything in a streamlined and organized manner so that we are most cost effective in our school nutrition program.
The policy, which is being examined and developed by a multi-departmental team from the division, as well as food and nutrition stakeholders, will seek to reduce waste, provide cost-effective measures, as well as establishing quality standards for meals and the stakeholders who create them.
We're also going to be reviewing the cost, the pricing, criteria for children to access the meals, because that has sort of gotten out of control a little bit over the years, moved away from the original objectives, and also the criteria for selecting and for maintaining your services as a caterer, because you have to maintain a standard.
The committee has been given a 4-month deadline for the full rollout of this policy. Technical advisor at the Division of Education, Research and Technology, Natasha Second, said work is well underway and encouraged principals, teachers and parents to participate in the process when the need arises.
We want to have policies that are very clear, policies that are very pragmatic. They're not going to simply be academic documents that are stuck in a cupboard. We want persons who work throughout the system to be able to move towards an improvingly higher quality education product, because we can measure exactly where we're going. So we want it to be transparent, and we want to have high levels of accountability throughout our entire system.
Welcome back, viewers. We just had about 7:15 a.m. this morning, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. On our rundown this morning, we begin the conversation as we speak THA Budget 2023-2024 and the minorities' response. We will be speaking with Minority Leader of the Tobago House of Assembly, Kelvon Morris, so we look forward to those discussions. Also on the rundown this morning, we have Joseph Jordan, representing the TTPS, that's Sergeant Joseph Jordan, and we'll be speaking updates of TTPS and speaking to matters criminal offense, just getting a status as to what's happening here in Tobago and in fact Trinidad and Tobago. And we wrap this morning with Martin Lumpkin, and president of Tutor, and we are speaking about the Tutor is against the Trinity Mocha's grad students block. So we look forward to hearing from the perspective of Tutor in relation to that matter, which certainly came into focus within the last week or so as we are in the graduation season. All right, viewers, so as we get started this morning, we have on set with us Minority Leader for the Tobago House of Assembly, Kelvon Morris. Good morning to you, sir, and welcome.
Good morning, Sir Skeet. Good morning, Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, so as we get the conversation started, you would have had the opportunity to provide a response to this year's budget for fiscal 2024. How would you summarize in the first instance? Because, you know, it appears to be practice now that if it doesn't go on for a while, it isn't a budget speech or a budget response. But just give us a little summary in relation to how would you have termed or your feedback on this year's budget?
So my initial reaction when I first listened to the presentation was that I was a bit disappointed because the budget to me lacked a clear development pathway. And when I was able to interrogate the budget further, I recognized that it was quite deceptive, it was dispiriting and demoralizing, because here it is, the Chief Secretary had an opportunity to level with the people of Tobago, and within that whole presentation there were a lot of concerning things that were left out. For instance, it's only after you really look at the overall economic picture you would recognize that the Tobago economy shrinked by 2%, and that there was no mention of that at all in the budget, which meant even in the face of receiving the highest allocation in the history of the Tobago House of Assembly, the Tobago GDP was reduced by 2%, and that is in the face of a 4% increase the previous year. So what it meant is that this administration has performed worse than their predecessors.
Now, you speak about the fact in terms of the change economically. Would you say that this would have been common practice in the past, or more importantly, if there were, you know, in terms of increase or a more positive response?
Because what you would see if you look from the 2021 on to 2022, and knowing that we were coming out of the pandemic in 2020, it all goes back to your fiscal policies and where you focus your developmental budget. And what you would recognize in that situation is that there were a lot of, there was a lack of priority and a lack of focus in that budget that caused the arrangement to the Tobago economy to really underperform. When you look at the construction sector, we had over 35% decrease in the construction sector, and you would know as anyone into finance and economics that your construction sector is one of those primary indicators that would sort of tell you whether your economy is performing well or if it is underperforming. And that decrease in the construction sector was a concern to us and continues to be a concern to us. And at no point within his presentation there's any clear pathway as to how the economy would rebound. We did not hear a clear plan, a clear fiscal policy that would treat with ensuring that the economy rebound, and that is of concern to us at this time.
Now, you've mentioned the construction sector, and I want to delve into it just a bit, because you speak construction, and I know one of the issues that has been raised by you for some time now is the treatment of contractors and others within the Tobago space, and more importantly, the audit, which the Chief Secretary has spoken to. Would you say that these are all contributing factors, and one would have expected naturally, if the funds aren't flowing in the manner in which it would normally, that there would be that kind of negative effect on the construction sector in Tobago?
Well, definitely, and two things there. And the current Secretary of Infrastructure said it best when he was vying for office. He said that when you utilize and focus the funding arrangements and place those funding arrangements and those opportunities to persons outside of Tobago, you are in fact building another economy. And this is exactly what we are seeing right now, where over $300 million would have been in construction work would have been given to persons outside of Tobago. And therefore, it means that what you are doing is really taking away that opportunity for Tobago hardware, Tobago businesses, Tobago workers, that money to be recirculated within the Tobago economy. And it baffles me, therefore, that an administration understanding the debilitating effects of such actions would then pursue a policy where you are single-handedly handpicking persons outside of Tobago and giving them the largest chunk of your construction budget. It also means, therefore, the policy of the previous administration was to utilize construction as that sort of catalyst to reawaken and reignite the Tobago economy coming out of a pandemic, because you know construction is one of those sectors that have a widespread effect, because once you have the contractors engaged, then they would have to buy materials from the hardware, they would have to employ workers, they would have to get equipment, these workers would buy from the groceries, these workers would go out and spend at the restaurants. So the trickle-down effect is widespread. But when you have the situation where you have taken a policy to blacklist your contractors in Tobago, it is clear the results are showing in the economy, where the economy is shrinking, the construction sector is at a standstill, and therefore we are facing the kind of problems we are facing in Tobago.
Now, we usually have a challenge with politicians, where we get one perspective when they sit in minority and another in majority. Now, if you were in the seat of the Chief Secretary, under the circumstances that he has described in relation to having an audit that identifies concerns with particular contractors, and then the administration taking a position that they're not dealing with transactions for specific contractors until they're aware of the outcome, what would you say should be done differently in order to not have the kind of negative effect that you are referring to?
Julian, we have been here before, and the government of Tobago would have changed hands in 2001. And therefore, we had a similar situation which the Orville London administration would have inherited. And you would recall those days, Mr. Hutchoy Charles would have embarked on a serious construction program, building roads all over Tobago. You know, the Castara, that northeast road there, and all of that, those bridges that were being built at Speyside into Charlottesville, etc. The point is, they would have inherited questionable work. Of course, an audit was done same way. And what the administration, the policy and the position the administration took is that they would treat with all verifiable work. So it doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that we don't have questions about the manner in which the work was awarded and the cost. But therefore, what they did was to verify those claims, have an agreement, and the Orville London administration went to a UNC cabinet, which was headed by, I think it was Mr. Yetming at the time, and was able to negotiate additional funding to treat with those verifiable bills, and that would have allowed for the governance of the island to continue without any serious disruption. And of course, we would have seen the benefits of that. I have consistently encouraged this administration that there's a difference between fighting and fighting up. Yes, we want to be Tobago strong. Yes, we have to stand for Tobago's autonomy. But at the same time, there's more benefit to be derived for Tobago when we collaborate with the central government than we fight with the central government. We see the benefits of collaboration. Even now as I speak, that road that is being built for $65 million that was given out in the most questionable circumstances that we only found out because a gentleman decided that he was not going to allow them to bulldoze through his land. That is the only reason we found out of that road. You know that road was going to be built, that road that is now scoped as a single lane highway. What we were going to get through collaboration would have been a double lane highway. And we were going to get that at absolutely no cost because central government was going to fund the cost of that to the tune of over $131 million. And here it is, we are spending $65 million.
So let me just get it clear. Under the circumstances, you're saying the same road could have been delivered through a central government. So is that to suggest that fundamentally there is no issue with the project, but it's a matter of the costing?
Well, that is the point. The road is a necessary road to connect to all the development that is happening there, including the airport. So that was always a part of the development plans for that side of the island. However, we are saying the manner in which the road is and the project is going is one that we have concerns with. In fact, the road, in terms of we have this issue now with EMA, where this road has been, where construction has started without the requisite approvals, and that is breaking the law. You understand? So the concerns are twofold, because you should not start. In fact, we at this point don't even know if they have the approved designs. No one have seen those designs. No one have the, normally when you're doing a project like that, there will be a big billboard and the people of Tobago can see for themselves what they're getting, where this road is passing. Nobody see, this seems to be Trevor's best kept secret, as is a lot of things happening. A lot of things are happening in Tobago that is being done in the most secretive manner that is and should be of concern to all of us. Going back to the audit, there's an audit. We are being told about findings, but no one other than the Chief Secretary seems to have his hand on the audit. I've said openly, I have absolutely no issue with this audit. I have absolutely no issue with the administration taking actions if there are actions to be taken. Let the chips fall where they may be. But at the same time, the people of Tobago ought to be, there should be a transparent process where the people of Tobago are kept abreast of everything going forward, because ultimately it is the taxpayers' money of Tobago who paid for that audit. And it should not be used as a political football or as a trump card every time you find yourself in difficulties. That is the only time we hear about this audit.
So how do you then respond to the issue? Because some would say when you speak to the parliament, it's not unusual for access to be had to a document. The concern being raised, ensure that it goes to the relevant holders. The Chief Secretary has said that he has sent it to the relevant individuals and so on to conduct the necessary investigations. In fact, he took the time out to say that he will not be sending it to the Prime Minister under the circumstances and determining when he sees fit to release it. Would that not be seen as part of what is the usual political play, as we have sometimes seen even in the Parliament, when certain documents come to the attention of the Prime Minister, that at his discretion, after the relevant authorities have dealt with, he determine when it is released?
Well, actually, the reverse is true. We have a situation now where the Prime Minister is being blocked from laying an audit by a citizen, from laying the audit in the Parliament so the national community can have their say and understand what is happening. That is transparency. And in the same vein, we are calling on the Chief Secretary to make the audit available to the public so each of us can come to our own natural conclusion. And more than that, at the same time, the Chief Secretary is the one who gave the commitment initially that he was going to make the audit public. I'm sure you recall him saying that when he first brought this preliminary audit report in the House. So therefore, what we are asking is just for him to keep his word. Secondly, I am also calling now on the Commissioner of Police, because the Chief Secretary is saying that he would have provided the information, made the reports to various arms of the law enforcement. And I'm calling on the Commissioner of Police to clear the air. Let us hear whether this audit was in fact reported and what is the status. That is transparency, and I think that is a fair call that we now hear from the Commissioner of Police whether they in fact have this audit, because the claim is from the Chief Secretary that he made this report and it seems to have no action seems to be taken.
How do you respond to the concerns that people will raise? This is all political grandstanding. We have heard of things like these before, and the politicians never seem to get affected. It is the average man, technical officers who are in the system. How would you respond to the claims, as we have seen many a times? Things like these come up, it goes forward, and at the end of the day, there are no results coming out from it in terms of anyone being charged or any circumstances. Are you hopeful that it is going to be different this time around?
Well, as I have said, where there are issues, the issues need to be investigated, and therefore the lawful course needs to happen. With respect to charges and that kind of thing, at the end of the day, it's law enforcement that will determine charges. In the same vein, I am hoping that those audio recordings will be investigated to its fullest end, and with everything, let the chips fall where they may at this point.
What is your hope? And you mentioned it before we wrap this morning's interview, the audio recordings. We have heard much about it. The Chief Sec, in his response, quite brief, speaking to the fact that this would have been some time ago, etc., and it was not executed. Your thoughts in relation to that matter as to where it is at now? Again, are you hopeful that something will come out of that? We have seen government officials in video as clear as day. It appears to be person A. The person apparently never acknowledges, never denies, and then nothing comes out of it. How can we as citizens be confident any at all that under the circumstances that this is going to make a difference?
You know, Julian, oftentimes people consistently say everybody do this and everybody do that. This is an opportunity with respect to this audio where we have, for the first time, I believe, clear voices, a clear conversation of conspiracy, and the persons, they have been caught with their proverbial pants down. And I'm saying this is an opportunity for us to make an example of persons holding public office and who would have breached public trust. This is our opportunity to hold them to account. And it also means that going forward, persons who are holding public office will understand the oath of office and understand that that oath is a serious oath to do right by all manner of people without fear or favor, manner or ill will, and to hold the public interest at heart. So therefore, going forward, I think this, whatever comes out of it, would be a lesson for us all who are getting into public life.
How do you respond to persons that are still on the ground indicating that the PNM does not yet have the moral authority to speak to issues like this?
What I would say, and I said it in the budget speech, the PNM is not a perfect party. We would have made mistakes over time, and that is par for the course. But what the PNM has done has always owned up to its errors, and we'll continue to own up to our errors. We'll continue to apologize to those persons who may have been affected in ways that, you know, would have disappointed them. And we will continue to work to be better. And that is what we are about. We have been in government serving the people, and out of government, we continue to serve the people.
All right. Thank you very much there. Kelvon Morris joining us here on set at the Tobago Updates morning show. Minority leader in the Tobago House of Assembly, giving his perspective, not just on the budget, but looking at the broader situation and concerns existing within the Tobago space. We want to thank you so much for joining us here on set this morning, Minority Leader Kelvon Morris. Viewers, we have coming up in the lineup, we will be chatting with the TTPS as we speak about issues and concerns, and more importantly, how the TTPS UPS has a hands-on approach at this time in the Tobago space, and in fact, I dare say, within Trinidad and Tobago. We look forward to upcoming discussions with Sergeant Joseph Jordan this morning. But until that time, we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Are you flood ready? Monitor trusted sources for info. Wear protective gear when you clean up. Contact your insurance provider to assess the damage. An initiative to help people prevent, prepare, recover. TATIL, where people are people.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. In this segment, viewers, we are chatting with Sergeant Joseph Jordan of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning to you. Good morning to your viewing and listening audience. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago by extension. Thanks for having me.
All right, excellent. So, we start with our usual updates. Right. Where are we at in terms of the progress that Trinidad and Tobago, and more specifically Tobago, is looking for in terms of the crime-fighting initiatives?
All right, so our basic aspect as it relates to our crime, so our serious report crimes, we're going to compare January 1 to June 24th, and we're going to compare 2022 versus 2023. So our serious report crimes stood at 391 in 2022. This year, it stands at 291, 100 crimes less, which gives us a 26% decrease. Our detection rate stands at 28%, which is much lower than 2022, which was, we had a figure on average of 40. Our detection rate stood at 40% in 2022, and that is posing a little problem. However, the aspect of reduction in SRCs is good. However, it's bad as it relates to the detection in our crime. We are working on that, and we have put a number of measures in place. We have the Joint Army patrols. We have our other stakeholders participating and putting the number of initiatives in place. Our murder figure stands at 7 as compared to 4 last year. Our tower crimes, or the crimes that are challenging to the island, remains breaking and general larceny. Robbery in particular has seen some mobility in the recent times, and this is a trend that we have been observing over the last few years. As we approach that July-August holidays, we have events such as the Island Crashers, we have events such as Great Fed, Great Race, and all the other activities that would come during this time. And as a result of those activities, sometimes there are increases in mini-marts being robbed, persons larceny of articles from persons. So it almost comes to the fact that persons are trying to make a hustle to sometimes go to these events. So we want to encourage persons to up their ante, use whatever protective measures that you can put in place, CCTV camera, additional lighting. We know we might be having a lot of new employment. So persons who are just out of school, maybe looking for a job, we may have visitors on the island as well. So we want to encourage persons be careful as to who you hire, do the necessary background checks, communicate with the police, get a certificate of character if need be, speak to the persons in the community as to who you are employing. So this is where we are on the updates as it relates to crime.
What are the efforts, particularly in these times, on the part of the TTPS to reassure persons, that even as you are referring to, in these high seasons, we got the Heritage Festival lineup coming. We just out of a busy in terms of the Easter period. We got the July, August happenings here in Tobago. We have the Great Race lineup, Great Fete weekend. You name the activity, Tobago is booked well beyond capacity.
Yeah.
There are some who have the fear and the concern that the TTPS just does not have the the capacity and manpower to be able to stand up to that. How do you reassure the citizens that all efforts are being made in that direction?
Right. So even prior to the July, August, we have put things in place as relates to preserving and protecting our island of Tobago and by extension Trinidad. We often call on our counterparts from Trinidad, so the Interagency Task Force, Guard and Emergency Brand, along with our personnel in Tobago. We collaborate as well with the Army to do whatever it takes to ensure that the safety of Tobagonians and the visitors are taken care of. So as I mentioned earlier, we would have our joint Army patrol, we would have our walkabouts, we have a lot more increases in our patrols along our nation road, whether it be foot, mobile, bicycle, even if once they allow the resources allow, we'll even have the horses as well doing patrols along the various parts of Tobago. So the police are doing what they need to do. We are increasing our efforts in trying to get all the resources that is necessary during this time, because as you just said, this is a busy time for Tobago, and we are out there. We have been out there for the last few months. I can go further to even say that when we look at the calendar of activities for the year or for the years in Tobago, Tobago is always busy, starting from January right down to Christmas with the inclusion of our Tobago Carnival in October. So there's almost no downtime in Tobago. So we continue to put the necessary things in place to ensure that the safety of the persons are taken care of.
So you mentioned it a little earlier. Unfortunately, in Tobago, we are already at, I think it is 7 murders.
Yes, we are.
For the year. What kind of progress would you say that the TTPS has made in terms of really getting to that point, in terms of finding the perpetrators?
I can assure you, if it's one thing the Tobago Division is highly noted for and highly praised for, it's solving murders. Records have shown that even in times gone by, we would have had even 100% solve rate in murders. Despite it may take some time. Now, we would have recorded 7 of murders for the year thus far, and we would have detected 2. So there are 5 others outstanding. But I assure you that the Homicide Department and other arms of the Tobago Division are working, and I know they are working because information will come from time to time as to updates as to what is going on. Obviously, not all that information will be placed in the public domain, because if you have a little clue, you don't want to put it out there to make it more difficult for you to locate the perpetrators of these crimes. But they are working on it, and in due course, we would see additional charges and additional arrests being made as it relates to those murders that would have transpired in Tobago. Sometimes the motive of these crimes or these murders are sometimes very opaque, and it is very difficult to identify who the person may have been associating with, or what might have actually, as I said, the actual cause of these murders. And so it takes a lot of digging, and this is where even our cybercrime unit comes in, so we have to check records and all these things to ensure that we can track down these persons and bring them to justice. Because the worst thing is for someone to be murdered and you don't know it, so the family is in grief for many years, and this is one of the aspects that we have to take care of when it comes to crime. The family-oriented aspect, the social, the emotional distress that is bestowed upon these families and friends. And it is not a very easy task to know that someone was, or their life was snuffed out, and you don't have a clue why it was done. Especially based on our, our culture. Our culture, yeah.
I mean, it can affect anyone under the circumstances. Final 30 seconds, your closing comments as we wrap this morning's interview.
All right, so this morning, I just want to encourage persons to practice safety, personal safety. As we're looking at the July, August holidays, which is very busy, which would most likely be the topic for the next few weeks. Persons going to the beach, secure your personal items. Do not go to the beach with your personal items, as a matter of fact, because why would you want to go to the beach with your passport, especially if you've been a traveling person? Secure it in an area that you can retrieve it. The driving on the roadway, because we had a series of accidents over the weekend. We want to encourage person, be safe, observe the speed limit, going out in parties, going in groups, approaching park in well-lit areas, secure your vehicle. And on going to your vehicle, one of the points I want to make sure, have your keys in hand to enter your vehicle. Not when you reach your vehicle, you're looking in your bag for your keys. Have it in hand so that you can enter your vehicle, get in, secure, and drive off.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much there, Sergeant Joseph Jordan, joining us here on set for the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Giving us a little insight into the happenings, the progress that the TTPS has been making, and more so tips and some guidance going into this July-August period, which is the vacation period, but certainly a very active time in terms of events, activities, and happenings here on the island. Viewers, we want to thank you so much for your continued love and support and for choosing the Tobago Updates morning show. At this point, we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Jimmy's Holiday Resorts has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, fully self-contained apartments located at the heart of Crown Point. Minutes walk to the popular beaches, restaurants, bars, and the airport. Enjoy our amazing amenities such as fully equipped apartments, complete with Wi-Fi, AC, TV, and a pool, and a mini-mart on the compound. Call 639-8292 or 8929. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts is your family's home away from home.
Right now, Tobagonians are just currying down to Bonaccord, right in Stobie Local Road. You know why? To come down and shop at Authentic Builders General Hardware, the only hardware store in Tobago that is giving you guys Trinidad prices. So for instance, such as steel, half-inch and 5/8, $7,895. 5/8 construction ply for $260. Every single thing that you will need to do your home renovation or start your new construction, we have it right here. And to get your quotation, it's very easy. Just WhatsApp us at 272-1990 and we will do your free WhatsApp quotation for you.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. At this point, viewers, we head straight on into our interview with Martin Lumsking, and president of Tutor, as we speak to some of the current issues affecting, I think in these circumstances, parents and our students, and we saw the response coming out from the school as well. Good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you for having us on the show this morning. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning to you and welcome.
Hi, good morning. Excellent. Are you hearing me?
Yes, certainly. Hear you now loud and clear.
Okay,
all right.
great.
So as we get the conversation started this morning, we saw what certainly went public, and went viral Trinidad and Tobago, and in fact beyond. The situation that took place with the graduation there for Trinity, Mocha, and the students apparently not necessarily being given what might be considered to be the usual courtesies along with others in terms of the graduation process. We even saw a further response by the school seeking really to indicate that the circumstance was not as bad as it is being purported to be. Tell us the position of tutor at this point.
And so you've rightfully said it, that there were a lot of talk in the social media, and a lot of times we enter the conversation without actually getting both sides or the facts of the story, and we're very emotive when it comes to certain things, and not try to be as very objective and to look at it in a certain way. When it comes to the general rules of the school, tutor is cognizant of the need to have school rules, because school rules will bring a certain level of social order as well as discipline, and it is a certain confirmation of behaviors that are acceptable. And so whenever a school is developing their school rules and their discipline, our teachers, our administrators, our educators, to ensure that it conforms and it does not contravene the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. And so when you're looking at uniformity, uniforms, hairstyles, and the conversation could even go to for the young men, facial hair as well too. We have to be cognizant of the fact that there are persons who would have religious, spiritual, and medical reasons to have whatever, and in this case, the hairstyle. And once they inform the school of it, and the school takes note of it and would allow, because we are seeing that the students were not denied the schools to be in school and to continue during the school term. However, for this particular event, and we must take note as well too, graduations or school leaving exercises have become part of a school's yearly exercises and events. However, it is not, and we have to say, it is not the really part of the terms and conditions and of employment of our administrators and our teachers. And they do this on a voluntary basis? And it's also not, it's an event that was put on by the church, and the church as well would have some input into what are the general rules of this particular event.
What I want to get clearly from you, we seem to have a situation where, we look at the photos and we see the hairstyles that have been presented that the school has indicated they have rules for. But if I am to understand clearly, and I mean, we stand to be corrected, these students have been benefiting from our education system via the same Trinity College for a period of time. So is it that this is a rule that applies to the graduation, but it didn't apply to being in school? While they were in actual receipt of education versus a graduation ceremony that might be, one being heavily coordinated by the school, and that's the method used for penalizing. What kind of message are we sending in those circumstances? The rules may or may not be followed at certain times, and then I enforce them when it may be convenient?
Well,
the real concern that can be perceived out there?
Yeah, and we have to be careful of how we put things out there, because the perception can be that we are applying the rules in one instance and we're not applying it in the other. And so the denial of the students having to participate, and they weren't really denied. What we were told, they were put in, they were allowed in, but they were in a certain section of the church, and so we realized that the school's rules were not being adhered to, although they were told about it in terms of and let me rephrase that, in terms of the rules for this particular event. However, in the schools in their school rules, and they will speak about how grooming should take, well, not specifically how grooming, but that the hairstyle should be well groomed, well maintained, clean as well too. And so they were not denied the right to education, and we have to be clear of that. Because denying them the right to education, the school will be infringing on their constitutional right. However, for this particular event, and being such that it was to be in the church, the Holy Trinity Cathedral, and they also would have certain rules in terms of that particular event. They were told well in advance, I understand months in advance, to conform to the rules. Rules are supposed to be reflective of the society, and if it is that we have to change rules, then there has to be a process and there has to be conversation. We do not encourage persons to flout the rules. We do not encourage persons to flout the law and then say that, the rules are wrong, and so because it's wrong, I'm going to do it still. There has to be a certain process to go, whereby you want to change. There's the PTA, there is the tutor as well, and there are other factors in Ministry of Education that can have the conversation to bring about the certain change that you need.
So I want to get from tutor. Do you feel that there's a greater issue here that has to be raised? I want to put it in this way, that this matter should ultimately trigger a bigger concern on the part of the education system. Do you feel it is sufficient for the school to simply say they were not denied, but they were put into a different group in terms of being facilitated? From where most people sit, is a clear indication or appears very much at that to be discrimination at best under the circumstances for the rules. And therefore my question is, do we have a greater role to play in the context of from tutor in demanding that the Ministry of Education looks into issues like these, where schools at their whims and fancies can make a determination whether it is in the rules or not that appear to be discriminatory to our students and their existence?
And so tutor would always have conversation with schools as well as the ministry to ensure that their school rules are in alignment with the Constitution. If it is that particular schools have rules that are clearly against the Constitution, then we will advise our membership. One of the things schools do on a yearly basis is to revise its rules and revise its discipline matrix as well too. And the discipline matrix is it is a literature that both the administration, the school, and the parents are supposed to have agreement with. And so if it is that we are looking specifically at hairstyles, and I know that you can lean on the argument of ethnicity as well too. And it goes way back in terms of slavery days, and trying to conform and, well, get people to a certain behavior. And it's colonial in some of the instances. And so tutor as the body that will advise our membership that you need to have these conversations. And so hairstyle is one such that is in the forefront right now. However, the bigger picture has to deal with the school rules, maintaining discipline, maintaining conformity, as well as to have socially accepted behavior and standards as well too. So if in the social and in the wider public, there needs to be that conversation of how we view and how we would manage certain things, then yes, we need to have that.
Thank you very much. There are any words in closing as we come to the end of this morning's interview?
Oh, on a separate issue, we'd like to wish all our schools the best. SEA results would be out at 12. Our concern is if the system, the IT system, can take the load of the number of persons trying to get in. And the SEA issue is another issue we can get into and speak for the entire day. But we'd like to wish all the best to our students and teachers. And wish the nation all the best. And our teachers are going on vacation soon, so wish them all the best for their vacation, a well-deserved rest, and be re-energized and reinvigorated for September's new term.
Right, and certainly, you've mentioned it. I'm hoping that we'd have the chance to have you back on, because we speak C and immediately it comes to mind. This method that we continue to use, putting our children under stress and strain. And then that isn't bad enough. We have now come to the point in Trinidad and Tobago, after dealing with one challenging year of a lawsuit, that we are no longer highlighting outstanding students based on their performance. But we leave those for another conversation. And we want to thank you very much for joining us on set here this morning. President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Martin Lumskin, sharing the perspective of tutor as it relates to the students out of Trinity College and the very challenged circumstances for the recent graduation. Viewers, we want to thank you so much for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show, connecting with you here this morning. And at this point, we prepare to head straight on into Tobago Notes, and this will be followed by GMT. Let me also take this opportunity to join with our tutor president in terms of sending very best wishes. I know that the countdown is down to the hour for all those awaiting the C results. And remember, parents, no matter the outcome, no matter the circumstance, what's important is for you to work with your child in determining the next step. The days have long gone where you want to get upset based on what the placing would be accordingly. That's already done. It's a done deal. What's important now is that you work with our students wherever they may be placed, whichever school they will be going to, in terms of really continuing to encourage and to motivate as they transition out of primary and heading on into secondary and high school. Once again, we thank you very much for your continued love and support. It's the start of a great work week. We're heading straight on in to Tobago Notes, followed by GMT.
Quest to continue to develop the greatest little island on the planet, Tobago, the Chief Secretary Honorable Fali Augustine, who is also the Secretary of the Division of Finance, Trade and the Economy, is requesting $4.54 billion, of which recurrent expenditure estimates to about $3.39 billion. This was revealed in his budget presentation entitled Building a Sustainable, Prosperous and Resilient Tobago.
This aggregation of the current estimates by divisions for fiscal 2024 is as follows. Assembly Legislature, 29.99 million. Office of the Chief Secretary, 253.74 million. Office of the Deputy Chief Secretary, 43.77 million. Finance, Trade and Economy, 323.27 million. Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, 243.26 million. Education, Research and Technology, 574.31 million. Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, 162.84 million. Infrastructure, Quarries and the Environment, 517.14 million. Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development, 263.84 million. Health, Wellness and Social Protection, 900 33.92 million, and settlements, public utilities and rural development 41.91 million.
The development program estimates about $1.15 billion. Here's the breakdown. Pre-investment, $1 billion. Productive sector, $1.5 million. Economic infrastructure, $403.55 million. Social infrastructure, $563.38 million. Multi-sectoral and other services, $181.57 million. $97.7 million is requested for the Unemployment Relief Program, URP, and $44.7 million for the Community-Based Environmental Protection and Enhancement Program, CPEP. So, what are the financing options for fiscal 2024? Honorable Augustine explains.
To drive our foreign direct investment strategy, this administration has taken the policy decision to develop and publish a comprehensive prospectus that will highlight all of the available investment opportunities on the island and the approximate timelines to obtain the required statutory approvals. This arrangement will make it easier for foreign investors to do business in Tobago. We are opening Tobago for business, Madam Presiding Officer. This administration has been actively exploring the option of utilizing EID cut to engage in long-term borrowing to fund critical infrastructure projects on the island.
In preparing the presentation, the THA used feedback which included interest groups and villagers.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denise. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we stronger.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candace Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. The media launch of the 2023 Tobago Heritage Festival was held on Saturday at Ann Mitchell Gift Auditorium in the Scarborough Library. The theme for this year's festival is Homage, All Are We and All Are Who We Are We Be. The festival promises to be dynamic with 11 days of action-packed events from the 21st of July to August 1st. Additionally, at the launch, 7 contestants for the Miss Tobago Heritage Personality Pageant was introduced. Meanwhile, a group of police officers from the White Collar Crime Unit, Anti-Corruption Bureau, and the Fraud Squad traveled from Trinidad to Tobago to conduct a series of interviews with officials of the Tobago House of Assembly. This is in relation to the topical audio recording featuring 2 senior members of the THA colluding to hire party propagandists within the THA workforce. However, Chief Secretary Fali Augustine claims that it was merely a strategic plan and to date has not been implemented. Additionally, in a media release, the Office of the Chief Secretary refuted all claims that members of the Executive Council were under questioning by the police. And nationally, last Friday evening, Janessa Murray went missing while at her father's home in Erin. He accounted that he was taking a bath and upon his return, she had disappeared. It appears as though she might have slipped into the river nearby. After the tireless efforts by the hunters and search and rescue team, she was found on Saturday near the mouth of the Carapel River. After receiving medical treatment from the Superior Health Facility, Janessa is now in the care of her mother, who extends her gratitude to all the parties involved with the search. And that was the news in 90 seconds, brought to you by Coconut Cafe.
Coconut Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes for breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti served with chokers, buljoil and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, viewers. So last week we were focused on the budget presentation itself. We heard from the Chief Secretary on Monday, giving his plans for fiscal 2023-2024. And on Thursday, we were able to hear from each division, each one of the councillors and assemblymen within the House, give their presentation, their comments on the budget. A lot of them went into some detail. Now we're going to get even into more detail. We're going to get deeper into it as we continue our budget coverage, I should say. And we are starting things off this morning with the Secretary of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development, Ms. Natisha Charles Panton. So good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, Candice. Good morning, Tobagonians, near and far.
Now, Ms. Natisha Charles Panton is often referred to as the hardest working secretary and assemblyman in the THA.
Thank you, Candice. Yes, I guess because the division is a huge one. And, you know, I like to say that we work together as a team. I can't do it without my hard-working workers, technical officers. You know, it is a joint effort, even the field officers in my constituency. I want to tell them thank you sincerely, because this is a tough journey without, you know, having that support.
And let's get into some of those things that you claim made your job a little bit tougher than it should be. And you started off your presentation in the House on Thursday stating that you inherited a lot of facilities that were just left there, you know, that were in serious need of repair.
Yes. Well, the minority accused us of, you know, non-performance. And, you know, my question to the minority was, at the end of my speech, you should be able to tell me what the previous administration would have produced or manufactured. Now, all of the stations are run down. Some of them, the ceiling is so heavy with wood ants. You have rats, you have all sorts of vermin, right? I don't know if that is what they have been producing, but I'm telling you that we have a lot of work to do to bring these stations, you know, up to standard. Even the fishing facilities, they need to be brought up to standard, HACCP standards. So we have a lot of work to do. And you know what is the most challenging part of it? When I got into office, I realized that I had no development budget at all, right? There are some things you can do under recurrent, but I have no development budget. All the development money goes to paying wages. So
how much exactly goes to paying wages?
About 26, 27 million. And under development, you don't get that money in advance. So that is why you would see workers always complaining about not being paid on time. They're not under recurrent. How they were hired, it makes it difficult to pay them on time. Development budget was meant to do projects, right? And at the end of the project, then you get paid, yeah?
So, I mean, I wanted to explain that a little bit because, I mean, we've had so much criticism in the past year about late payments of workers. Like, explain how this group of workers that often, you know, get shafted when it comes to salaries, why? I mean, why?
Right. So I wouldn't say get shafted. I've been in the division for over 18 years now, and I'm telling you that it is difficult if you hire people under development because the money isn't there in advance. It's not like recurrent. The accountants, they work tirelessly to ensure that persons are paid, but they must get money first. So it's not like there's money sitting there and they're not paying the workers, right? The division doesn't have a limited, funds under development that you could just take up and pay workers. What you have to do, development is made paid out when projects are completed, right? And if you have workers being paid under development, then it's challenging because they are not projects, yeah? So,
and what are the categories of these workers?
They classify them as development workers. So, access roads, so Misoto workers, all these workers are development workers. And it's not limited to my division only, it's across the THA, right? But it's specific to agriculture. My development budget is very tiny, $26 million. And just imagine you having to pay that in wages. So I can't get anything done in terms of projects. Right, I literally have to request money, make proposals, request money, and be creative in finding ways to get projects done. So that means forming partnerships, getting funding from international agencies, so that is how we survive at the Division of Agriculture, and then to come up with, innovative ways to make money under the division.
And it's certainly a challenge, and that's what the challenge that TADCO was tasked with. And we saw from your presentation that, TADCO, through, like, for instance, the Capital of Paradise, was able to obtain, it was $174,000 US dollars between June 22 and November 2022, as well as they said was 51,000 between January 22 and April 23. And so basically a profit margin after the overheads of just a little over 100,000 US dollars.
Correct, right? And that's a very short period of time. The boat, we fixed up the boat, get it on high seas, and we were able to make profit as you'd see. Because a lot of people were saying, what about return on investment and all of these things? So I wanted to show them clearly that this project is not a waste of time. And I would love that TADCO or the division can afford to buy 1 or 2 more vessels, because you can see where we can actually make money to cover, a lot of the expenses that we have in TADCO. TADCO's subvention from the Tobago House of Assembly is very tiny compared to what they need just to pay wages. So not only under the division we inherited workers that we have to always find funds to pay, but we also have to do it under TADCO. Yeah, so we have to be grateful for the initiatives that we're rolling out that actually making money, so that we can put money into the pockets of workers. And not only that, to support the agriculture sector. We have the poultry contract farm initiative, where we give people up front the chicks, the feed, we give the medication up front, so that we can ease the burden off of entrepreneurs. And in order to do that, you must have a company that is sustainable, that is making money, right? We cannot pour from an empty cup. And I want people to understand that. When you make the demands of the division of the Tobago House of Assembly, we must be able to have money to give to you. So therefore, productivity is number one. It should be priority. Should we fall into a situation where we do not have money, all right, Tobago must be able to sustain itself. And that is why under the division, we decided collectively that we will treat agriculture as a science and a business, right?
Now, I mean, I just want to stick on the Capital Paradise just a little bit more. So there was some profit made. How is that money, what happens to that profit? Does it go back to the THA itself, or does it stay within TADCO to reinvest into other projects?
The money stays in TADCO to reinvest in other projects. So it doesn't go back into the consolidated fund. The way how the companies are designed, when they make money, the money stays within the company to, support the sector.
And I also noted with some interest that the food hub, the Scarborough Food Hub made some money.
Yes,
$64,000, exactly.
Yes, 64. I think it's 64, yeah, somewhere there. And, that was because the prices were introductory. Coming out of COVID, persons had a difficult time re-establishing themselves. So you don't want to keep persons away from the food hub. You want them to be invited to the space. It's an affordable space, so they can, roll out their businesses, and then eventually things, as they pick up, then, the rates will gradually increase.
Another big project that the division, or I should say TADCO, rolled out last year was that of the Le Coco experience, where you could have a tour as well as some agriculture, some food production happening in terms of root crops. And there was quite a range that you announced. Could you explain a bit more, just dive into it, just for those who perhaps did not hear your presentation as to, what part of that estate is being given towards root crop production?
Okay. Now, the Le Great River estate is about 150 acres of land. And our technical officers, they have utilized that estate in order to increase, the provision of fresh food on the island. So I have seen for myself, they have grown pineapples, a variety of root crops, dasheen, all different sort of root crops. And, we had cocoa there. And when I say had, it was overgrown, it was abandoned, and because of the product that we wanted to offer, we asked the technical officers to revive that plantation, clean it up, get in contact with the Ministry of Land and Agriculture in Trinidad, and they came up and trained them on how to do the different cuts to bring back the fields into productivity. What is the major attraction to that site besides, all that farm experience that you can have? You have the waterfalls, you have a history of, the sugarcane plantation. So you have, it's a diverse sort of experience that you can get from that area. And, we felt that it was one of those attractive sites that we can bring back and attract tourists and to experience, dance the cocoa, to have a local cuisine there. You'll be able to cook crab and dumpling, So we wanted them to, have that natural feel in the Le Great River, at the Le Great River. So TADCO is in charge of managing that project, and I think they have done a good job. They came up with the rates, they came up with, those stakeholders that you could assist us in attracting people to the site. You see that they do active advertising on Facebook. So I think TADCO is doing a good job so far, right?
Have you, what about the return of investment on Blue?
Well, I don't have the details of that on me, right? But definitely we will report on Le as time goes by, because I think it was launched somewhere around October, the very same time that the food hub was launched. And that's a very short time between now and between then and now. So we have to give that product some time to roll out. In the very same way as the Main Ridge Forest Fitness Experience, we had 317 registered participants on the day of the experience. And then we had the virtual run after, right? And you know, we still have to do the tally as to what was made, and that project was rolled out under the Tobago Reforestation and Watershed Rehabilitation Program, right? That's an NGO company under the division. And while that product wasn't meant to make a profit, persons would have registered and we would have made back something from what was paid out for the event. Yeah? So all of that would be calculated and we will report on that. And I want you to see the difference. In the last administration, even when the Capital of Paradise existed, nothing was ever published. You never knew what the boat made at all.
Any records at all
No
of
record.
any of the fish catch out there that they would have received?
We have no records at all, and now that we're in office, you can get information, right? And I want you to note that we are making things transparent. Whether it made money, it didn't make money, is it feasible? If it's not feasible, we will report on that, because it makes no sense going ahead with something that isn't feasible. Right? There will be projects that may not be feasible to the Tobago House of Assembly, may not make money for the Tobago House of Assembly, but it might make money for you as a stakeholder. And projects like Carnival and, you know, events like Carnival and you know, I'm sure there are a lot that people, you hear them in the space talking about, oh, you're not making money. That doesn't make sense. There are some things that the Tobago House of Assembly would have to support in order for stakeholders, for businesses to make money on the island. Yeah, but we will publish those reports.
When it comes to one of the plans that you mentioned, that of 2 mega farms for Tobago.
Yes.
Well, I think was it one in poultry and in food production.
Right.
And you received some criticism for that.
Yes,
but
that's right.
could you give us an idea of what is a plan that you had in mind for how these farms would be implemented? Where would they be implemented?
All right. So first of all, you would always have advantages and disadvantages in everything that you do, right? So we shouldn't feel badly when we criticize. Actually, sometimes people criticize you and you pick up on things that you didn't even think about, yeah? And the Mega Farm project, when you think about it, you might think that it's something that wouldn't make sense because you have a huge farm with probably a farm or two, but the model we're going to adopt is that several farmers will have several holdings within the mega farm.
Okay, so this will be done in partnership with some of the 900 registered farmers that we have on the island.
Right, well, I'll tell you. Let's start with the poultry contract farm initiative. Now, traditionally, and nothing is wrong with that, persons would have different skills in terms of, you might be good at planting yam, you might be good at planting sweet potatoes, you might be good with bananas, right? You might have the science down, and because of, you know, you grew up in it, and you might have gotten the technical assistance, yeah? But if you're into business, which is a different approach, you must identify the market before you engage in food production. Why? Because what you're going to end up having is a situation where you have to try and hustle your goods you know, some way and hope that persons will buy it. Poultry contract farm initiative. And we give the chicks, the feed, the veterinary services, medication, right, up front, and then TADCO would buy it back, package it, pay for it live weight, package it, and sell it in Tobago, right? We have not gotten to the point where we need to export yet. So we have a market for poultry. So in setting up the mega farm with the poultry, we would be giving persons contracts to produce poultry, yeah? And that is where I'm thinking that if you already have the market, why should it fail? You see? So that is how that model will happen. And then we'll have to roll out other things like sheep and goat, you know, small ruminants, and other pork, all right? And then you have the, you know, mixed crops, right? Mixed crops will be a slightly different, right? But we still have to identify the market. but we're not going to limit farmers to one particular crop on the mega farm with the mixed crops, right? You're gonna have a range of products that you produce that you can grow in that area. But in terms of small ruminants and chickens, you have to be exact. You don't want to have waste feed and you know, it must be something that is sustainable if it's going to work. A lot of people believe that agriculture over the years, they felt, you know, as if it was punishment. You know, if you're not going good, you may not be a doctor or a lawyer, but you know, go in the bush and plant corn and see how it will work out, you know. That is not what agriculture is. Agriculture is a craft just as any other. It's a profession just as any other. It's scientific. It requires hard work. And if we have to increase food production on the island and put money in the pockets of farmers, we have to get it right. We have to get the science right, and we have to train them on business.
Right. Well, we're going to stick a pin right there, and when we come back, we'll continue to talk about the announcements and the plans that Mr. Teacher Charles Panton has for the agricultural sector. When we come back after this break.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash in transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Jimmy's Holiday Resorts has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, fully self-contained apartments located at the heart of Crown Point. Minutes walk to the popular beaches, restaurants, bars, and the airport. Enjoy our amazing amenities such as fully equipped apartments, complete with Wi-Fi, AC, TV, and a pool, and a mini-mart on the compound. Call 639-8292 or 8929. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts is your family's home away from home.
Right now, Tobagonians are just currying down to Bonaccord, right in Stobie Local Road. You know why? To come down and shop at Authentic Builders General Hardware, the only hardware store in Tobago that is giving you guys Trinidad prices. So for instance, such as steel, 1/2 inch and 5/8, $7,895. 5/8 construction ply for $260. Every single thing that you will need to do your home renovation or start your new construction, We have it right here. And to get your quotation, it's very easy. Just WhatsApp us at 272-1990 and we will do your free WhatsApp quotation for you.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denicia.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers, we are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we stronger. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, we are continuing our conversations this morning with the Secretary of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment, and I'm missing the Sustainable Development. Right? So, Miss Letitia Charles Panting. Now, before we went to the break, we were speaking a little bit about the Mega Farm project, which is one of the big items presented in your budget presentation. Now, what is the location of those two mega farms that you had in mind?
So we're looking at the Hope Estate. We're also looking at Kendall, that Kendall area. So we have done a visit last week to, assess what parts of those estates would be most suitable for those mega farms.
And at what cost it would take to get this mega farm project started?
All right, so we have looked at different costs, but I can't say for final yet. Give you final figures yet, but I can tell you it doesn't work the way how we think it would work. In terms of telling you, it would cost X or Y, and we will get it, right? Being in governance for about a year and a half, I can tell you that what you request you don't always get. You have to work with what you get, but we intend to engage in the PPP, the public-private partnership, in order to bring down that cost and to form partnerships with other entities to ensure that we work within budget and get the project rolled out. So it is our way, and it's something that we are accustomed doing over the year and a half, working with different partners in order to get projects completed under the division because of the lack of funding.
And what about the estimated output? So you, like I said, you mentioned it. There are two focuses: that of just some produce as well as the poultry.
So I can tell you for the poultry, we're looking at 250,000 per month.
So basically to fill the need.
Correct, right? But in terms of the other produce, we'll have to speak about that on another episode of Tobago Updates.
No problem. We're welcome anytime to speak about those plans. Now, I want to touch on something, and you kept alluding to it throughout our conversation so far, and that is the need for science-based research to guide whatever policy or whatever plan is implemented. And this would be done through the development of the Tobago Agriculture Research Institute. So, give me the idea. When are we thinking about starting this? When would we see this coming into fruition, and so on?
Well, I want to say that the ball has started rolling. I believe it is in February, we formed a committee headed by Keith George. He used to be a technical officer under the division as well. He's excellent. As a matter of fact, he's also working on the poultry contract farm initiative, and he has done an excellent job. And I intend, to utilize his skills in going forward. He is brilliant. He assembled a brilliant team on the committee, and they are working towards improving service delivery at the Kendall Farm School, tying in the different stations. Now, while the infrastructure on the different stations are poor, I can tell you that the technical knowledge that comes from those stations, excellent. As a matter of fact, I didn't even mention in the budget that we are now growing onions as a result of the technical officers working with Cardi, right?
So no longer we have to get the onions from China.
And I'm telling you, this is real life information. I tested it myself. Now, I would usually purchase onions from the grocery, right? And when we launched that onion project, I took some home. All right, and because Tobago style, I divided what they gave to me, and I give the neighbor, and I give my mother, right. So everybody had a sample of the few onions that I got, and when we use that onion, the taste different. We're talking about from I think it was March till now. Fresh. They remain fresh and hard. Sometimes you buy the onions and you squeeze it and it's soft already. Right. I still have those onions at home, and they are fresh and they are fat. And I'm telling you, if we invest in onions, and it's part of the whole CARICOM initiative of reducing food imports by 25% by 2025, we're actually trying to grow those crops that are traditionally imported into Tobago, right here in Tobago. So we're doing onions and we're doing carrots, to start. So we have a plan. I'm telling you, we have a plan.
No, and I mean, this is certainly good news because, onions is the first thing you put in the pots when you're ready to cook.
Or the second thing, after garlic.
Or after the oil, right?
Yeah, the oil.
After the oil. But I mean, and then I'm not sure that people know that we don't grow onions here.
Yeah.
Onions and garlic come from China.
Correct.
So that's, an amazing initiative. I mean, when can we see that, onions grown in Tobago being on our grocery shelves instead of the ones that spoil so fast?
Yeah, I wish we could get them like yesterday.
Me too.
Because I felt like I found heaven when I got those onions. Yeah. So the stations are designed to be demonstration centers. So even though you see we have ton loads of produce on the stations, actually what we are doing is demonstrating to farmers, and that is as a result of the production is as a result of the demonstration. So we don't compete with farmers. We want persons who are in agriculture or getting into agriculture to be business minded. So we're going to train you, and you're going to take that technical knowledge and make yourself rich. Yeah. So no longer are we just going to plant for planting's sake, although you can, because I do plant. I plant my little flavor pepper and all of that, But you can plant and make money, because that is the idea. And we want Tobago to become sustainable in terms of producing its own food. Yeah? So that is what we're working on. If we have to achieve, some of those sustainable goals that we're looking at, we must become sustainable in food production.
All right. Now, one of the things you also mentioned in the budget was that of the introduction of the fee for Little Tobago, because of course the care of Little Tobago falls falls under your division, and there are two fees for depending on the season and depending on whether or not you're a local and international or foreigner, I should say.
Yes. So they identified two seasons. There's a peak season, November to May, right? And $250 per week for the tour operators, and between June and October, $150 per week. Yeah. And I'll tell you something. For years, we've had persons just going to Little Tobago, and nothing was regulated. Now we actually have a user fee. that we can regulate persons going to the island, and also we're able to manage the island better. Under the forestry division, we try to prevent illegal hunting, setting up fires. A lot of illegal activity happens over there. So we want to be able to incorporate Little Tobago with Bloody Bay Recreation Site and be able to provide a product, a more attractive product, because it is attractive already, and the people there they are fabulous. I love working with them, especially the tour guides, right? And it's just to bring everybody together in order to make it a better product and to market it as a better product internationally. And that is why we did the Main Ridge Forest Fitness Experience. We dived a little bit into sports tourism, because you have the fresh, clean air of the Main Ridge. You have the terrain. You have, the wildlife there. That after you go on the run, then you can engage in a tour. Yeah. So we're trying to improve the product and the service, the quality of service delivery in that area. Yeah.
Now, one of the challenges that the THA has been faced with for a long time is that whenever it earns money from whatever event and so on, it all goes into like a consolidated fund, and it never goes back. Traditionally, it has not really gone back to reinvesting in the entity that it made money from. So will the money collected in terms of fees from the Tobago and Bloody Bay, would that go back into the maintenance of that area?
Definitely.
Directly.
Right, definitely. That is why we want to have that entrance fee and the user fee. Also, the Main Ridge Forest Fitness Experience, that does not go into the consolidated fund. The monies are collected under the division's company. That's the Tobago Reforestation and Watershed Rehabilitation Program.
And when will the fee start being introduced to the public?
The one for Little Tobago?
Yes.
Immediately, I believe, yes.
Immediately,
yes,
okay.
I've been developed. Immediately, yes. But I'll clarify that. But it's my impression that, it will begin in time for the tourist season, the upcoming tourist season. Yeah.
Certainly. Now, and I just want to ask about Goat Island as well, seeing as we're in that same area.
Yes.
Is there any plans for Goat Island, especially that house that's there?
Right. I can't comment on that yet. I do know that the Chief Secretary, he raised it earlier in the year, but we haven't come to, how we're going to approach Goat Island just yet. There are a lot of spaces under my division that I haven't even mentioned yet, but to be honest with you, if I had to tackle each and every thing under my purview, I don't think I'd be alive today. So I'm pacing myself. Pacing myself. But I think we have done good in 1.5 years. The journey is a tough one, but I'm enjoying what I have done for years. Right, I've been in the division for over 18 years, and being the secretary of the division is even more rewarding. And I intend to continue pushing because I know that we can do good. We have excellent technical officers, we have excellent workers, and those that have come on board and said, look, we would have wanted to contribute for years, but now we have, the opportunity. We're given the opportunity. We are coming up with some unique ideas that we can roll out under the division that we believe could be lucrative once supported. So I'm going to continue to push and encourage persons to bring out their creativity, because that was what we campaigned on, right? Everyone should be able to contribute in ways that they feel they can contribute, and the skills that God would have given to them.
Now, I want to touch on tractor pool, which is, I know, one of the challenges that you inherited, because the list goes back to, 2018 of people waiting?
Even before that, yes.
Even before 2018, waiting on services from tractor pool.
Correct. We have done what we could. That What I mean by that, we have purchased wheel tractors. We have tried to excavate, well, not put excavate, rotavate and brush cut in different clusters across Tobago. I understand the impatience of farmers, but there's only so much we can do with what we have. I can tell you that with every complaint that I get, I reach out to the workers at Tractor Pool, and they have given me, even when they fall to some extent, and I'll explain what I mean by that. Sometimes we think that we could do everything, even when rain falls, for example, but it's difficult to operate the tractors in heavy rainfall, and you're talking about wet earth. You know?
And the mud and so on.
And the mud and all of that. Right? So even when they can't do something, they said to me, Mrs. Pantin, we are trying our best. And I actually see them trying. What I think we have to do, though, we have to improve on monitoring of these activities. And that would come with introduction of equipment, you know, computers and all of that. We have to upgrade our monitoring systems at Tractor Pool. And of course, if I had more money, I'd buy more tractors, yeah? But we have incentives under the division that I think people aren't capitalizing on. Now, when you're getting into business, you have to ensure that you get the service that you need on time. We have a lot of associations, and even as an individual farmer, you can get a rebate on getting your own tractor, even if it is a second-hand tractor, right? So people should capitalize on that if you want personal one-on-one on-time service as it relates to tractors. As a matter of fact, we have so many incentives. I was explaining to a farmer 2 days ago, and he didn't know. He knew the officer in charge of the incentives unit, but he didn't know any of the incentives. And that was so ironic. You know, we had a laugh about it. And he said he never thought to ask her about the incentives. We have, even to import sperm, you're getting a rebate. That's what I tell you. Security cameras, yeah, you can get a rebate. So there are so many things you can purchase for yourself. If you fence in your property, you get a rebate. Come to the division, get the list of the rebates that you're entitled to make your business easier. You're building your animal pens, you're building your pens for your poultry contract farm initiative, there's a rebate, yeah? And why the rebate system was set up instead of giving the grant up front. Now, there is a grant. There's a new Youth in Agriculture grant that you can get on that same incentive list. But the majority are rebates, because when persons come asking for money, it isn't guaranteed that they're going to use the money for what they say they're going to use it for. So they designed it in a way that you're spending money so that they know you purchase. If you say you're going to build your chicken pens, right? The officer will come, they will verify, you have your original receipt, and then you get your rebate. Yeah? And I think it's fair, right? So let's treat agriculture as a business, and, you know, if that is what you're inclined to do, right?
And in terms of the poultry initiative and so on, is it too late for other interested farmers, after hearing, you know, let's say that they were not aware of the division giving out the chicks and the feed and the technical support, could they get involved with these things and on the other projects that you have going on?
Oh, definitely. We have 60 farmers in the Poultry Contract Farm Initiative. We started them off with a small number of chickens because we wanted to control the mortality rate. Right? As I said, agriculture is a science. Now, if your mortality rate is 6% and under, then we consider you a successful poultry farmer. Right? Other than that, you'll be losing money. Yeah? So we have to train you by giving you small amounts, ensuring that you know how to care for the chickens. And in 6 weeks, we come, take it from you, and we process it, package, and sell it, right? We're going to roll out, other than the mega farm, you know, we're going to need abattoirs, yeah? We're going to need poultry abattoirs. So that is in the making. when we're talking business, we have to have everything in place so that everything happens, smoothly.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's how we're going to have to leave it now. Yes. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's quite a lot more because the secretary has one of the largest divisions, quite a lot of responsibility, but she seems to be handling it pretty well. So, I mean, thank you so much for being on with us and for giving us just a look into some of the plans going forward for the division. And yes, it was a pleasure for this morning.
Thank you for having me, Candice. Thank you, Tobago. Thank you so much.
All right, folks. Now, this is just the start of just going through each division in detail, expanding on what was presented at the budget presentation on Friday, the budget debate on Friday. So you're going to want to stay tuned to GMT as we dive further into the plans for 2023-2024. All right, so bye for now, folks, and we'll see you again tomorrow.